What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So the draft lottery is tonight at 6:30, and 11 teams are eligible to get Mac and Celerbini, that being the Devils, Sharks, Utah, Anaheim, Ottawa, Calgary, Seattle, Chicago, Columbus, and Buffalo. So I thought, considering it's Tuesday, and on this page we have Tier List Tuesday, where every single Tuesday we do a tier list, I thought that I would tier list these 11 destinations for Mac and Celerbini. This is going to be based on how many good young pieces do they have, how's their future looking, how close are they to winning, and just overall the history of their management, who's their coach. We're going off that. So here it is. We got the tiers. Great, very good, good, and meh. I don't think that there's any like horrible spots for Mac and Celerbini here. I definitely like some more than I like some more than others, but that's why I think that like the top three tiers are all pretty good landing spots for him. This isn't a situation where like the Pittsburgh Penguins have a chance to get him, and they have Crosby right now, which would be great for him to learn under, but would have to go like through a 4 to 5 year rebuild once Crosby's washed up, and they're not even that good right now. There's no bad spots. There's really no bad spots. Even the team or teams that I'm gonna put in that bottom tier wouldn't be the worst thing ever. It wouldn't be the worst thing ever for his career to end up going there. But up first, we got the New Jersey Devils. I think you got to go great. This is a 112-point team last year. A bunch of young, exciting players like Jack Hughes, Luke Hughes, Simone Nemec, Dawson Mercer, Timo Meyer, Bratt, and Hischier are still not young by any stretch. It would be interesting to see how they would make it work with Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier, but I think that Nico Hischier is going to be a very, very good player. He already is a very good player, but I think Celebrini's a tier up, so I don't think Celerbini would be like stuck on that third line center role for that long. I think he eventually would elevate above a Nico Hischier. It's not like he'd be pigeonholed there behind two guys. So I think that his development still would be very good. And especially if they bring in an exciting, youngish coach that's more of a player's coach, I think that Celerbini would be fantastic in New Jersey, immediately have a chance to win and be a high impact player. The San Jose Sharks, I'm teetering on good and very good. I'm going to go good right now. They're building it the right way, don't get me wrong, and I really like Will Smith. I really like Quinn Musty. Signing Colin Graf was fantastic. They're just still 3 to 4 years away at the bare minimum, considering the money that they're retaining on some deals. They have a long way to go. It wouldn't be the worst thing for Macklin Celebrini to go to San Jose. He'd immediately get a lot of ice time, but he wouldn't really have that much talent around him until probably the 2026-2027 season. I think at the very earliest would be the season that they try to win. It'd be a good spot, but I cannot say it's a very good or great spot at this point. Next up, Utah, Arizona. I didn't throw in the Utah one. I'm just going off a basic. All logos and all that stuff. So with the Utah Hockey Club, I think it's a very good spot. They're lacking that future franchise superstar. I think Logan Cooley is going to be a number one center. Clayton Keller is a very, very good first line elite winger at this point, but they're definitely lacking that eventual superstar. I think Mac and Celerbini would be that. And if they got Mac and Celerbini and spent pretty heavily in the offseason this year, and people actually bought in and were willing to sign with Utah, I think that this team could be a playoff team as soon as next year, on top of the fact that you have a very good young players like a Cooley, like a Gunther, Michelli, Josh Doan really showed himself towards the end of the season as a good piece going forward. So they have a very bright future. Simashev and Boot from the draft last year, they're looking very promising. I think Celerbrini would be the missing piece to really take their young core to the next level. The Montreal Canadiens, similar thought process here. I really like what the Montreal Canadiens are building. They're building it the right way. Him playing with Slavkovsky on that first line. Nick Suzuki maybe bumping down to that. He'd be one of the best second line centers in the entire NHL in like 3 to 4 years. Selke level second line center. That would really complete their 1-2 center punch on top of all the young talent that they have. Lane Hudson, David Reinbacher. Again, similarly to Utah, they're maybe lacking that future superstar. Mac and Celerbrini would be fantastic. They're still not that proven yet, so I can't really throw them up in the great tier, but it would be a very good spot for Mac and Celerbrini. The Anaheim Ducks, they also have not proved it, but I think this would be a great spot. I think they have a much better U22-23 core than, say, the Montreal Canadiens, who still have a very good one. But when looking at it, you look at that forward core of the future that Anaheim would have. Celebrini, Carlson, McTavish, Gauthier, Zegras is still pretty. It would be insane if they got Mac and Celebrini. They're big 3, big 4 in a couple years of forwards, on top of the fact of having Pavel Minchikov, Olin Zellweger, still a very promising offensive defenseman, Tristan Luneau. They wouldn't immediately make the playoffs next year or anything, but they would have, without a doubt, I think after Gauthier, they probably had the best prospect pool in the entire NHL. best like under 22 or under 23 core. It would kind of be without a doubt if he ended up going to Anaheim. They've developed guys pretty solid thus far with their overall process. So I think if they got a guy like Mac and Celerbini, I think Carlson or even McTavish are going to end up being superstar level players. But just adding another one, or Gauthier, but adding another one would be disgusting. The Ottawa Senators. I'm going to go good. They have a very promising under 25, under 26 core. It's just, we've said for the last 2 years that they're going to take that next step. I think with Mac and Celerbini, they eventually would be a playoff team down the line, but this management and ownership, I know that they do have some more new management and ownership coming in, but I'm not even that encouraged with what they've done thus far, especially hiring Travis Green. So I'm going to go good. Still would be a very solid landing spot for Mac and Celerbini. But considering the fact that the Senators just haven't got it done recently, I'm not sure Mac and Celebrini is going to fix all their problems. Calgary Flames, I think they go in May. Again, not a bad spot for Mac and Celerbini to end up, but they really lack any other elite young talent. I like Connor Zary. I like Matt Coronado. I like Sam Hanzik, but no one really else on that level of a Mac and Celerbini compared to maybe some of these other teams. On top of the fact that they're like retooling right now. I think they could make the playoffs next year with Mac and Celerbini on an ELC with some of their high impact guys like Anderson, Kadri. They still have some very good players. Uyghur, Jacob Markstrom is playing good, but I think with Celerbini, they'd like just stay in this okay phase. Celerbini would be fantastic for them, but I'm not sure that they would fully build the right way with Mac and Celerbini. If they got Mac and Celerbini, they should probably commit to a full rebuild, but I feel like they just want to do the retool and never really reach those heights outside of having Mac and Celerbini. The Seattle Kraken, good. I think their prospect pool is very underrated. Guys like Carson Rakoff, Jagger Furcus, Matt Beniers is still very young. Shane Wright got some action at the NHL level and looks solid. So I think that they do have a good young future. They're lacking some on the defensive side, young talent, but I think Seattle, although they're in a little bit of a weird phase similar to a Calgary, I think they do have a better prospect pool. And I think with Celerbini, they could eventually be good in like 3 to 4 years. Chicago Blackhawks, great, man. I know that they're not that good right now, but you give Connor Bedard a player like Mac and Celebrity, although they are both centers, but you have that 1-2 punch. That's your equivalent. That's this generation, Malkin and Crosby. And Malkin and Crosby, then Draisaitl and McDavid, although Draisaitl and McDavid don't have the same success. But then 2023, 2024, we have Celebrini and Bedard. They'd be fantastic going forward. And I know Kyle Davidson still wouldn't rush it. Even if he got a Mac and Celebrini next year, they wouldn't immediately rush it and try to win now. They'd still build the proper way, especially because they're kind of lacking potentially that number one elite defenseman. I think Korchinski's a very, very good offense defenseman down the line, but Chicago's building it the right way, and that would be a great add for them. Columbus, I'm going to go with good. I think they actually have like a very good young core. If they had a better track record with their franchise overall, and yes, they're bringing in a new general manager, I would probably bump them up to very good. But Columbus has not shown the ability to retain their talent first off, and also just have any success for the most part. So when looking at it, Fantilli and Celebrini would be one of the best young center duos in the entire NHL. But given the track record, I can't throw Columbus exactly too high quite yet. And then last to the Buffalo Sabres, I think that they have a fantastic U25 core at this point. You add a guy like Celebrini after Tage Thompson kind of looked disappointing this year. He immediately becomes your number one center of the future. And then you still have Cousins only making $7 million. Even though Cousins and Tage Thompson both had down years this year, they're still only making $7 million. They're still on fantastic deals, with Celebrini eventually becoming their number one center. Guys like Benson, Peterka, Jack Quinn, Yuri Kulich, Isaac Rose. They have Matthew Savoy. They have a plethora of riches. So in looking at it, and especially on defense, after getting a guy like Bowen Byram, that I think is going to be very good for them, when looking at it, they just be set going forward, and I think they would be one of the better teams. I could maybe move them up and great if they didn't take such a massive step back this year after barely missing the playoffs last year. I know New Jersey also did take a massive step back, but they made the playoffs safely last year and had the worst goaltending ever. So this is my tier list. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about this tier list for Mac and Celebrini? Who would you move up? Who would you move down? If I were to move anybody up, I honestly don't. I think that these are fair. Again, these are very good spots. In terms of good, I probably would move Ottawa if anybody up here. If I were to move somebody down, it would probably be Seattle, just because of their lack of NHL proven under 25 guys. I like their prospect pool, but a lot of it is unproven. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. 6:30 tonight. 6:30 tonight, we decide, or the NHL decides. Why is my thing like that? The NHL decides who gets Mac and Celebrini. So let me know in the comments, What do you think about this? Where do you think the best spots for Macklin Celebrini is? Do you think I'm out of my mind for thinking Anaheim's better than the Montreal Canadiens or the Buffalo Sabres? Let me know in the comments. What do you think about this? As always, try to draw it out to 10 minutes, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.